The air hung heavy with the scent of pine and sawdust, a familiar comfort to Liam. His calloused hands tightened on the worn steering wheel, the hum of his truck engine, a steady pulse against the growing tension in Harmony Creek. For generations, the old paper mill had been the town's heartbeat, providing livelihoods, a future. But now, a different kind of pulse echoed through the valley, the relentless drumbeat of protest. Dr. Evelyn Reed, a woman whose fierce intelligence was matched only by her environmental conviction, had arrived, threatening to silence the mill forever. Liam knew what its closure meant. The end of his family's legacy, the ruin of his community, and for his daughter, Chloe, a future stripped bare. He would fight for Harmony Creek, for Chloe. With every breath, the first kiss of dawn painted the sky above Harmony Creek in streaks of rose and lavender, but a low, persistent mist still clung to the valley floor. Through the ethereal haze, the silhouettes of ancient pine forests stood sentinel, their peaks catching the first light. A ribbon of river, Willow Creek, wound its way through the landscape, a silver thread in the fabric of the sleeping town, and in the distance, stark against the burgeoning light, stood the Harmony Creek paper mill. Its cluster of weathered industrial buildings, the towering chimney, a lone sentinel, had long been the unmoving heart of this place, its steady exhalation of steam a sign of life, of purpose. Inside a modest, well-kept home nestled among a row of similar houses, Liam moved with the quiet efficiency born of years of solo parenting. The kitchen, with its worn linoleum and comforting warmth, smelled faintly of toast and brewing coffee. He hummed a tuneless melody under his breath as he deftly sectioned an orange, his calloused hands, rough from years of manual labor at the mill, executing the delicate task with surprising tenderness. His daughter, Chloe, an energetic 8-year-old with a mop of wild brown hair, sat at the kitchen table, her head still heavy with sleep. Liam carefully, expertly, braided her hair, his fingers intertwining the strands with a practiced ease. On the counter, a framed photograph stood sentinel. A younger Liam, robust and smiling, beside a radiant woman whose eyes, even in the faded image, sparkling with an infectious joy. That woman, Chloe's mother, was a ghost in the background of their lives, a memory Liam clutched close but rarely spoke of. "Daddy, will the mill close?" Chloe's voice was a soft, sleepy murmur, but the question landed with the force of a physical blow in Liam's chest. He paused, his hands stilling in her hair. He knew the whispers had grown louder, carried on the wind through every open window in Harmony Creek. "Not if I can help it, sweet pea," he said, his voice gentle, but with an underlying current of worry he fought to conceal. He finished the braid, securing it with a rainbow-colored hair tie. "That mill puts food on our table, keeps a roof over our heads." Chloe looked up at him, her wide, trusting eyes mirroring the depth of his unspoken fears. Liam forced a reassuring smile, a familiar shield, and kissed the top of her head. He felt a deep, ancestral pride in his work, a legacy passed down through generations. But beneath the surface, a knot of anxiety tightened in his gut. The threat of closure wasn't just about his job, it was about the very fabric of Harmony Creek, Chloe's future, their entire identity. He was a single father, fiercely protective, determined to shield her from a hardship he knew too well. The early morning drive through Harmony Creek was a ritual. Golden hour light, now fully present, bathed the quaint main street, highlighting the peeling paint on old storefronts and the vibrant colors of front yard gardens. Liam's beat-up Ford pickup truck, a loyal workhorse, rumbled past familiar landmarks. He dropped Chloe off at the local elementary school, a quick hug and a promise to pick her up, watching her small figure disappear into the cheerful chaos of the schoolyard. Then, the landscape shifted. The tree-lined street gave way to an industrial road, the air thick with the distinct, pungent smell of wood pulp, a scent many in town equated with life itself. Liam nodded to other mill workers, their trucks and cars already queuing for the morning shift. A silent camaraderie passed between them, a shared understanding of their collective fate, tethered to the rhythmic thrum of the mill's machinery. He saw the faces of his co-workers, the families reliant on this place, and his resolve hardened. The mill wasn't just a job. It was Harmony Creek's very identity. The growing threat of its closure felt like a personal attack on everything he held dear. He wouldn't let it happen. He couldn't let it happen. The Harmony Creek Town Hall, usually reserved for mundane zoning discussions or the occasional bake sale, buzzed with an uncharacteristic tension that late afternoon. Fluorescent lights hummed above a sea of worried, working-class faces, their expressions a mixture of fear and simmering resentment. The air was thick with humidity and unspoken anxieties. Dr. Evelyn Reed stood at a podium at the front of the room, a striking figure against the rustic backdrop. Elegant in a tailored navy suit that seemed too polished for the setting, her auburn hair pulled back in a severe professional bun, she projected an image of poised authority. She moved with an almost ethereal grace. A woman utterly at home in the realm of scientific data. Far less so in the raw emotion of a small town. Her voice, calm and authoritative, yet underscored by a clear passion, cut through the nervous chatter. She projected slides onto a screen behind her, intricate graphs depicting rising pollution levels in the Willow Creek, the very river that ribboned through their valley, now shown as a victim. "The data is clear," Evelyn stated, her gaze sweeping the room, unblinking. "The Harmony Creek paper mill is a primary contributor to severe environmental degradation in Willow Creek. This isn't just about fish. It's about the health of this community, your children's future." Her words, meticulously chosen, sounded like a death knell. Liam, who had been simmering in the back of the room, could take no more. He stood abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the worn floorboards. His voice, rough with emotion, cracked through the carefully constructed academic tone. "And what about our children's present, Dr. Reed?" he challenged, his eyes narrowed. "What about their parents' jobs? This mill has supported Harmony Creek for 70 years. My grandfather worked there. My father worked there. I work there. You come in here with your fancy graphs, but you don't know what it's like to feed a family when the only industry in town shuts down." The room erupted in a cacophony of murmurs, a mixture of agreement with Liam's passion and frustrated dissent. Some shouted in support of the mill. Others lamented the visible changes in the river. Evelyn maintained eye contact with Liam, unyielding, a flicker of something unreadable in her cool green eyes. She saw him as an obstacle, a symbol of the ignorance she had come to combat. Liam saw her as privileged, oblivious, an outsider threatening their very survival. He felt the weight of his community's fear, his personal responsibility to them, pressing down on him. She, for her part, was driven by an unshakable belief in environmental justice, detached, at first, from the very human cost her convictions represented. Later that night, the modern, minimalist lines of Evelyn's temporary rental home stood in stark contrast to the rustic charm of Harmony Creek. Perched on the edge of town, it offered a panoramic view of the valley below, the distant lights of the mill a hazy glow against the darkness. Evelyn sipped herbal tea, the warmth a small comfort against the chill of the evening and the lingering prickle of Liam's words. She reviewed her notes from the meeting, her scientific brain meticulously replaying every fact, every statistic. She scrolled through photos on her laptop. Her own daughter, Maya, a quiet, artistic girl with wide, thoughtful eyes. The image brought a soft smile to Evelyn's lips, a rare moment of unguarded tenderness. She closed the laptop, the sudden darkness mirroring the quiet isolation she often felt. She looked out at the distant mill, its hum a faint thrum in the stillness. Liam's raw passion, His fierce defense of his community had pricked a nerve. It was a reminder that behind the data, the charts, and the scientific imperatives, there were real lives, real families, real struggles. A flicker of doubt about her purely academic, detached approach surfaced, a fleeting shadow, quickly suppressed. She was committed. Her cause was too important. The tranquil banks of Willow Creek, further upstream where the water still ran clearer, were dappled with sunlight filtering through the ancient willows. It was a crisp, perfect mid-morning, the air carrying the scent of damp earth and budding leaves. Chloe, with her bright rainbow backpack bouncing lightly against her small back, carefully navigated the riverbank. Her head was tilted, eyes scanning. As she collected interesting rocks and shiny leaves, her imagination already constructing elaborate worlds for them, she hummed a little tune, a melodic counterpoint to the gentle murmur of the flowing water. Further downstream, in a spot hidden by a cluster of tall reeds, another girl sat quietly by the water's edge. Maya, Evelyn's daughter, was deeply engrossed in her sketchbook, her brow furrowed in concentration as she meticulously drew a dragonfly, its delicate wings poised in intricate detail. She was a solitary child, finding solace and expression in her art. Chloe, ever the curious one, approached cautiously, her footsteps rustling the fallen leaves. "That's a really good drawing," she whispered, her voice soft so as not to startle the other girl. Maya looked up, startled, her wide, shy eyes blinking in surprise. For a moment, she just stared, unused to such direct, unprompted kindness. "Thanks," she finally managed, her voice barely audible. "What are you doing?" Chloe grinned, her face open and friendly. "Looking for fairy houses. My daddy says you can find them if you're quiet enough." Maya's lips curved into a small, genuine smile, the first hint of warmth they'd seen from her. Chloe, emboldened, held out a smooth, perfectly round riverstone, still cool from the water. "For luck," she offered, her eyes bright. Maya accepted the stone, turning it over in her palm, a small treasure. "My mom says this river is sick," she said, her voice tinged with the sadness of adult worries she didn't fully grasp. Chloe's brow furrowed. "My daddy says it's fine. He works at the mill. It makes paper." Maya shrugged, innocent of the deeper conflict that raged between their parents. She offered Chloe a glimpse of her sketchbook, pages filled with detailed drawings of local wildlife, plants, and the intricate patterns of the river itself. Both girls, free from the prejudices and burdens of their parents' adult world, felt an immediate, simple connection. Chloe, outgoing and imaginative, found a quiet kinship with Maya. Maya, often solitary and reserved, found an unexpected comfort in Chloe's openness. The river, a source of conflict for their parents, became their shared sanctuary, a place where their friendship could blossom, pure and unburdened. Later, in the elementary school parking lot, the tension was palpable. Liam arrived to pick up Chloe, his gaze sweeping the throngs of parents and children. Across the crowded lot, Evelyn, sleek and controlled, waited for Maya, her electric car, a silent anomaly among the rumbling pickups and family sedans. Their eyes met briefly over the heads of playing children. A tense, awkward silence stretched between them, thick with the unspoken clash of their last encounter. Liam offered a stiff, almost imperceptible nod. Evelyn responded with a hesitant, formal dip of her head. Neither knew how to bridge the chasm that separated them. But just then, Chloe and Maya emerged from the school building, already holding hands, chatting animatedly, their laughter bright and clear in the crisp afternoon air. Both parents noticed this unexpected sight with a slight, unreadable shift in their expressions. A flicker of surprise, a hint of curiosity, a faint softening around the edges of their rigid personas. The noisy, steam-filled interior of the Harmony Creek paper mill was a maelstrom of activity that midday. The rhythmic clang of machinery, the hiss of hydraulic presses, and the constant hum of conveyor belts created a deafening symphony of industry. Liam, his face streaked with grease and sweat, his uniform shirt clinging to his back, moved through it all with practiced ease. His body ached, a familiar companion after years of demanding shifts, but he pushed through, his mind on Chloe. He paused by an enormous vat, watching the pulpy slurry churn, and found Frank, an older co-worker with lines etched deep around his eyes from years of worry and hard work. "Times are getting tougher, Liam," Frank muttered, shaking his head. "Used to be you could raise a family on this mill job. Now, it's just barely enough." Liam's jaw tightened. "We'll make it work, Frank. Always do." But the conviction in his voice felt thinner than usual. Later that night, in the quiet solitude of his kitchen, after Chloe was long asleep, Liam reviewed his sparse finances. The numbers were always tight, a constant juggle. He felt an escalating sense of fear, the heavy burden of providing for Chloe alone. He glanced at the faded photo of his late wife, her smiling face a bittersweet memory. Asterisk, "I'll always take care of you, sweet pea." Asterisk, he whispered, his eyes on Chloe's sleeping form through the doorway of her room. He believed in the mill, in the town, but the encroaching reality of economic hardship, exacerbated by Evelyn Reed's crusade, was a heavy burden, a weight on his shoulders that never truly lifted. Meanwhile, in her temporary rental home, Evelyn's world was bathed in the cool, sterile glow of a laptop screen. The hour was late. The house silent, save for the soft click of her keyboard. She meticulously analyzed new data samples from Willow Creek, cross-referencing them with historical reports. The numbers told a grim story, confirming her initial findings, hinting at something darker beneath the surface. She paced the polished floors, phone pressed to her ear, making calls to environmental organizations, her voice firm and articulate. "The levels are spiking in the lower basin," she explained, her voice sharp with urgency. "We need more resources to escalate this. Our children deserve a cleaner future." She paused, her gaze drifting to a framed photograph on her desk. A younger Evelyn, smiling, alongside a kind-faced man, a fellow scientist. Her late husband. She felt a deep sense of purpose, a legacy perhaps. But beneath her unwavering commitment to the planet, a hidden loneliness lingered, the subtle ache of personal sacrifice. Her conviction was absolute, but the cost, though necessary, weighed on her. A subtle ache for a deeper human connection, a shared life beyond the data, was beginning to surface, a quiet counterpoint to her fierce dedication. The Harmony Creek Town Hall, once again the stage, was packed to capacity, overflowing with anxious residents and the glaring lights of local news cameras. The air thrummed with a nervous energy, a mix of hope and simmering fear. Liam, now a reluctant de facto spokesperson for the mill workers, his frustration simmering, challenged their carefully rehearsed facade. "Invested?" he demanded, his voice strained. "You've cut corners for years. Where's your investment in our community, in our environment?" The Apex rep, a man with a chillingly impassive smile, dismissed Liam with a cold, superior stare, as if he were an annoying fly. Evelyn, observing from the back, noticed the evasiveness in their answers, the way they artfully dodged specifics, the subtle cues of deception. Her own unease began to deepen. Liam felt an escalating sense of betrayal, of powerlessness against this faceless, monolithic corporation. The town felt cornered, their fate seemingly sealed by distant boardrooms. But Evelyn's scientific curiosity, combined with a growing disquiet, pushed her to dig deeper. She sensed something profoundly wrong, a carefully constructed illusion behind the corporate platitudes. The realization hit her with the force of a physical blow. Her initial belief that the local workers were, at best, passively complicit in the pollution, or at worst, knowingly turning a blind eye, shattered. She understood now. The mill workers, Liam among them, were victims of Apex's calculated deception, just as the environment was. Her mission, once clear-cut environmental advocacy, shifted dramatically. It was no longer about simply shutting down the mill, but about exposing the true perpetrators. The stakes had just gotten exponentially higher, far more complex, and infinitely more personal. Evelyn knew, with absolute certainty, that her fight had just begun, and it was no longer a solitary one. The sun, struggling to break through an ominous bank of overcast clouds, cast a muted, bruised light over Willow Creek. At a small hidden cove, where the water was visibly discolored by a murky, unnatural sheen, an area Evelyn had specifically noted in Apex's old incriminating reports. She waited for Liam. The air was still, heavy, with a silence that felt less like peace and more like foreboding. Liam arrived, his face etched with a mix of suspicion and weary resignation. He hadn't wanted to come, his pride chafing at the idea of another lecture from the environmental doctor. But something in Evelyn's voice on the phone had cut through his defenses. It had been urgent, devoid of her usual academic detachment. "What is it, Dr. Reed?" Liam's voice was rough, his arms crossed defensively over his chest. Evelyn didn't waste time with pleasantries. She handed him a stack of meticulously organized printouts, internal Apex memos, redacted reports, dates, and figures, detailing years of systematic, deliberate dumping. Illegal discharges concealed from both the public and, crucially, most of the local mill workforce. As Liam's eyes scanned the documents, his face blanched, the color draining from his cheeks. Then Evelyn led him to a cluster of dense bushes on the riverbank, pushing aside branches to reveal a corroded, hidden pipe, spewing a thin, continuous stream of murky, foul-smelling water directly into the once pristine creek. "It's not just the mill, Liam," Evelyn said, her voice steady, but with a deep, controlled anger. "It's Apex. They've been systematically poisoning this river for years, covering it up, manipulating local permits, falsifying reports. Your community, your family, everyone who worked there. You're all victims of their deception." Liam stared at the evidence, then at the pipe, a guttural sound of betrayal escaping him. "No, that's impossible. We followed all the local guidelines." Evelyn shook her head, her eyes burning with a fierce resolve. "Local guidelines Apex manipulated. They bought your silence with jobs, Mr. Hayes. They made you complicit, without you even knowing it." Liam dropped to his knees, clutching a handful of the polluted soil, his knuckles white. Tears, hot and silent, streamed down his face, cutting clean paths through the grime. "All this time, I thought I was protecting Harmony Creek," he whispered, his voice raw with a pain that Evelyn instantly recognized as akin to grief. Evelyn, for the first time, felt a profound wave of empathy for him. She gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "You were. But they tricked you. Now, we fight the real enemy." In that moment, surrounded by the polluted silence, Liam's pride in his legacy turned to bitter disillusionment. But from the ashes of that shame, a new fire ignited, a powerful, all-consuming rage against Apex, and a nascent, fierce trust in the woman beside him. The shared shock and anger became a bridge, spanning the vast chasm that had separated them. Later that night, the kitchen in Liam's modest home became an unlikely war room. The children were long asleep, their peaceful breathing a soft counterpoint to the rustle of papers and the hushed intensity of the adults. Liam and Evelyn, fueled by endless cups of strong coffee, spread documents, maps, and Evelyn's meticulously organized reports across the worn kitchen table. The glow of the single overhead light illuminated their faces, etched with a common purpose. "I know the weak spots," Liam said, his voice now imbued with a grim determination. "The old pipes they never inspect, the back channels they use to move chemicals. I know the mill's skeleton better than anyone at Apex. Evelyn nodded, her eyes sharp. And I have the scientific backing, the legal precedents. We hit them with undeniable proof, from every angle. Their eyes met across the table, a spark of collaboration igniting. Then something deeper, the shared vulnerability, the urgency of their task, and the late hour stripped away their initial animosity. Liam was impressed by Evelyn's sharp mind and unwavering conviction, seeing past her professional polish to the fierce intelligence within. Evelyn, in turn, was moved by Liam's raw integrity, his deep, visceral love for his community, and the quiet strength he possessed. Respect, then a nascent, hesitant attraction, began to grow in the quiet space between them. Over the following weeks, the Harmony Creek Mill became their clandestine playground after hours. Liam, risking his job and his livelihood, guided Evelyn through its labyrinthine corridors, its forgotten nooks and crannies. The air was thick with the scent of chemicals and decay, a grim testament to Apex's negligence. In the dead of night, they moved like shadows, Liam pointing out the suspicious pipes, the corroded access points that Apex had used for illegal dumping. Evelyn, agile and meticulous, gathered samples, her camera clicking silently, documenting every damning piece of evidence. "This is where they do it," Liam whispered one night, his voice barely audible above the distant hum of dormant machinery. When everyone's gone, Evelyn's camera clicked again, capturing a murky discharge point. "This is damning, Liam. Thank you for trusting me." The gratitude in her voice was genuine, raw. Back at Liam's home, the kitchen table remained their command center. They worked late into the night, their heads bent together over maps and reports, the quiet hum of their combined focus filling the small space. Chloe and Maya, sensing the shift in their parents' dynamic, began to relax. They saw their parents together, not as adversaries, but as collaborators, a strange, comforting new rhythm establishing itself in the house. They shared meals, the initial tension replaced by an almost domestic ease, the girls giggling over their shared secrets, while their parents discussed strategy. "Our parents are friends now, aren't they?" Maya asked Chloe one evening, a hopeful note in her voice. Chloe beamed. "I think so." The children's open joy in their parents' collaboration subtly pushed Liam and Evelyn to acknowledge the deepening bond that was forming between them. Small moments, seemingly insignificant, began to weave a new tapestry between Liam and Evelyn. One afternoon, Evelyn's kitchen faucet began to leak, a persistent drip that gnawed at her composure. Liam, without hesitation, offered to fix it. His hands, though calloused from industrial work, moved with a surprising dexterity, swiftly diagnosing and repairing the problem. "You really are good with your hands, Liam," Evelyn remarked, watching him with a new appreciation. Liam, a shy smile playing on his lips, shrugged. "It's just honest work, Evelyn." "Liam, please," she corrected softly, her gaze lingering on his face. "And it's more than that." A beat of silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken feelings. A moment where the professional barriers fully dissolved. Another day, Liam observed Evelyn patiently helping Chloe with a complex school project on local flora. Her scientific expertise now shared not as a weapon, but as a gift. Later, he watched Evelyn and Maya drawing together in the fading light of the living room, a shared quiet creativity that he found deeply moving. He found himself thinking about the comfortable rhythm of their evenings, the easy way Evelyn fit into their small, once solitary world, the intense pressure of their shared mission, the vulnerability of their revelations, drew them closer with an irresistible force. Liam saw Evelyn's courage and dedication, not just her academic privilege. He saw her unwavering commitment to justice, her profound love for Maya, a mirror of his own for Chloe. Evelyn, in turn, found herself drawn to Liam's authenticity, his grounded nature, his quiet strength, and unwavering integrity. The protective walls around both their hearts, built so carefully after personal loss, began to crumble, brick by agonizing brick, making space for something unexpected and beautiful. The Harmony Creek Town Hall, now a battleground for justice, was packed to capacity, overflowing with anxious residents and the glaring lights of local news cameras. The air thrummed with a nervous energy, a mix of hope and simmering fear. Liam, his uniform shirt clean but still showing the faint outlines of his recent arduous work, stood before his community. His usual reticence was gone, replaced by a voice now strong and resonant with conviction. He had become their voice. Beside him, Evelyn stood tall, lending her scientific authority and calm resolve to his emotional plea. "I came here tonight believing I had to fight against Evelyn," Liam began, his gaze sweeping the room, meeting the eyes of his friends and neighbors, their faces etched with familiar worry. "But the real fight, it's against those who lied to us, who poisoned our home, who took advantage of our trust. Apex Industries has systematically polluted our river, jeopardized our health, and destroyed the very legacy they claim to uphold." He held up a thick binder filled with Evelyn's meticulously gathered evidence, the damning reports and photographs. "This isn't just a local issue. It's a testament to corporate greed, and it must stop here. We're fighting for the future of Harmony Creek, for our children, for this river." Evelyn stepped forward, her voice clear and authoritative, addressing the cameras. "The evidence is irrefutable. This is a deliberate act of corporate malfeasance, a betrayal of public trust. We demand accountability, and we demand justice." The room, initially stunned by the raw truth, erupted in unified support, a wave of collective outrage and newfound solidarity washing over the community. The cheers, the angry shouts for justice, filled the hall, echoing their newfound courage. Apex Industries, however, did not take kindly to being exposed. The retaliation was swift and brutal. The very next morning, Liam was called into the mill manager's office. The Apex representative, a different man, colder and more ruthless than the last, sat behind the desk, his face devoid of emotion. "Your services are no longer required, Mr. Hayes. Effective immediately," he stated, his voice flat. Liam's jaw clenched, but he met the man's gaze with defiance. His access to the mill was immediately revoked, his livelihood snatched away. Other workers who had spoken out or shown support for Liam were subtly threatened, their shifts cut, their job security undermined. A subtle campaign of intimidation began to ripple through the town. That evening, a brick, wrapped in a crudely scrawled note, "Leave Harmony Creek," shattered Evelyn's rental window. She picked up the note, her face pale, but her eyes hardened. "They're trying to scare us off," she said to Liam, who had rushed over. Liam's jaw was set, his gaze fierce. "It won't work." Liam felt the immediate financial precarity, the sudden insecurity of unemployment. But instead of despair, a fierce determination burned within him. He would not back down. Evelyn, shaken but galvanized by the direct threat, felt her resolve strengthen. The adversity, the direct attack, only served to cement their commitment to each other and their shared cause. The children, however, were not immune to the rising tension. Overhearing hushed conversations, catching glimpses of worried adult faces, Chloe and Maya grew visibly scared. One evening, after the sound of breaking glass at Evelyn's house had rattled them, Chloe clung to Liam, her small body trembling. Maya sat beside them, clutching her river drawing, her usually calm face now creased with worry. "Daddy, are we safe?" Chloe whispered, her voice tiny. "Is the river going to die?" Liam pulled both girls into a tight, comforting hug, his strong arms a shield. "You're safe. Both of you. And we're going to make sure the river gets better. Your mom and I are fighting for it." The words felt powerful, a promise woven from his determination and Evelyn's courage. Liam and Evelyn watched their children's fear, a stark reminder of the true stakes of their battle. It was not just about justice, or environmental preservation, or even jobs. It was about their children's peace of mind, their future, their very sense of safety in a world that suddenly felt dangerous. This fear, paradoxically, only reinforced their shared fight, deepening their bond and sharpening their resolve. Months later, the Harmony Creek Courthouse, now a battleground for justice, was packed to capacity, overflowing with journalists and concerned townspeople. Liam sat on a polished wooden bench, his leg bouncing with nervous energy. The corporate lawsuit against Apex Industries was reaching its climax. Evelyn, with Liam by her side, delivered compelling testimony, her voice calm and authoritative, buttressed by irrefutable scientific evidence. The evidence was overwhelming, Apex's defense crumbling under the weight of their deception. The verdict came swiftly. Apex Industries was found guilty of egregious environmental violations and corporate negligence, ordered to pay substantial fines, and, crucially, to fund the mill's complete environmental cleanup and conversion into a new sustainable enterprise. A wave of cheers erupted in the courtroom, quickly spilling out into the Harmony Creek Town Square, where jubilant residents celebrated under a warm afternoon Sunday. "This isn't just a victory against a corporation," Liam declared, his voice booming as he addressed the cheering crowd in the town square, Evelyn standing proudly beside him. "It's a victory for what we can build when we stand together." Evelyn caught Liam's eye, a shared triumph reflected in their radiant smiles, their hands finding each other's in a silent, powerful affirmation. Relief, exultation, and profound gratitude washed over them both. They looked at each other, acknowledging the immense journey they'd shared, the deep bond forged through fire, now stronger than ever. The town, once resigned to despair, now pulsed with a new hope, a future reimagined. As dusk began to settle, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Liam and Evelyn found themselves by Willow Creek, beneath the ancient willows. The river flowed serenely, its waters visibly cleaner, sparkling as it wound its way through the landscape. Chloe and Maya, a year older, sat side by side on the riverbank, just as they had that first day. Maya sketched quietly in her book, her talent blossoming, while Chloe read aloud from a story she was writing, her voice clear and imaginative. Liam and Evelyn approached, their hands intertwined, a picnic basket swinging gently between them. They watched the girls, their hearts overflowing with a quiet, profound joy. "Daddy, Mom, Evelyn." Chloe's voice, bright and clear, carried across the water, her face beaming. Maya looked up, a soft, wide smile gracing her lips. "Hi, Dad Liam," she said, her voice a gentle murmur, a term of endearment that had become as natural as breathing. Liam and Evelyn exchanged a loving glance, a shared triumph, a silent conversation of how far they had come. Liam knelt, kissing Chloe's head. Then Evelyn ruffled Maya's hair, her touch tender. "It all started right here, didn't it?" Evelyn mused, her gaze sweeping over the scene. Two very different people. Two very different daughters. Liam pulled her closer, his arm encircling her waist as he looked at their blended, beautiful family and one beautiful, unexpected future. "We are Harmony Creek, Evelyn. All of us." The scene exuded warmth, love, and a deep sense of belonging. Liam felt complete, the gaping hole left by Sarah's loss healed by the vibrant, chosen family they had built. Evelyn found the deep, authentic connection she had unknowingly yearned for, a life far richer than any academic pursuit alone could offer. The children, secure and cherished, were the living embodiment of their parents' journey from conflict to connection, their individual stories now harmoniously woven into a larger, more beautiful narrative. Harmony Creek, once a place of division and despair, truly lived up to its name, a testament to the transformative power of compassion, courage, and finding love in the most unexpected places. Liam, the single dad who fought to preserve a legacy, had found a new one. A legacy not just of a mill, but of a family built on love, resilience, and the unwavering belief that a father's heart, once broken, can heal and expand to embrace a future more beautiful than he ever dared to dream. A year later, the transformed Harmony Creek Mill stood as the vibrant Willow Creek Eco Center, a beacon of sustainability and community spirit. Its facade, cleaned and modernized, still subtly echoed its industrial heritage, a bridge between past and future. Liam, now a co-manager of the Eco Center, walked with a confident stride, overseeing a team of local workers, including Frank, who were producing sustainable paper products and leading educational tours. The air, once heavy with chemical fumes, now smelled faintly of fresh wood and the clean, invigorating scent of the revitalized river. Frank, his face beaming, slapped Liam on the back. "Never thought I'd see the day this old mill made paper without poisoning the river, Liam. You and Evelyn, you two did good." Liam grinned, a quiet satisfaction settling deep in his chest. Evelyn, too, moved with a new lightness, radiating quiet fulfillment. As co-manager and chief environmental officer, she guided a group of eager students along the banks of the rejuvenated Willow Creek, which flowed sparkling clean beside the center. "The river is a testament to what we can achieve when science and community come together," she explained, her voice ringing with passion and pride. She was fulfilled, her scientific mission now deeply integrated with a community she had come to love. A stark contrast to her once detached academic life. As the golden hour bathed the valley in soft light, Liam and Evelyn found themselves by Willow Creek. Beneath the ancient willows, the river flowed serenely, its waters clear and inviting, reflecting the deepening hues of the sunset. Chloe and Maya, a year older, sat side by side on the riverbank, just as they had that very first day. Maya sketched quietly in her book, her talent blossoming, while Chloe read aloud from a story she was writing, her voice clear and imaginative. Liam and Evelyn approached, their hands intertwined, a picnic basket swinging gently between them. They watched the girls, their hearts overflowing with a quiet, profound joy. "Daddy." "Mom Evelyn." Chloe's voice, bright and clear, carried across the water, her face beaming. Maya looked up, a soft, wide smile gracing her lips. "Hi, Dad Liam," she said, her voice a gentle murmur, a term of endearment that had become as natural as breathing. Liam and Evelyn exchanged a loving glance, a shared triumph, a silent conversation of how far they had come. Liam knelt, kissing Chloe's head. Then Evelyn ruffled Maya's hair, her touch tender. "It all started right here, didn't it?" Evelyn mused, her gaze sweeping over the scene, encompassing the thriving eco-center, the sparkling river. Their two girls, two very different people, two very different daughters. Liam pulled her closer, his arm encircling her waist as he looked at their blended, beautiful family, now complete, and one beautiful, unexpected future. "We are Harmony Creek, Evelyn. All of us." The scene exuded warmth, love, and a deep sense of belonging. Liam felt complete, the gaping hole left by Sarah's loss healed by the vibrant, chosen family they had built. Evelyn found the deep, authentic connection she had unknowingly yearned for, a life far richer than any academic pursuit alone could offer. The children, secure and cherished, were the living embodiment of their parents' journey from conflict to connection, their individual stories now harmoniously woven into a larger, more beautiful narrative. Harmony Creek, once a place of division and despair, truly lived up to its name, a testament to the transformative power of compassion, courage, and finding love in the most unexpected places. Liam, the single dad who fought to preserve a legacy, had found a new one. A legacy not just of a mill, but of a family built on love, resilience, and the unwavering belief that a father's heart, once broken, can heal and expand to embrace a future more beautiful than he ever dared to dream.